Trivia, Will and Dave style. Here you go, Will. I've added you to your audio to the broadcast so you too can talk along on the trivia with us.
That question assumes I know anything about the stock market.
You mean all your money isn't invested in the Dow Jones Industrial Average? Which one is it? Quick.
19th strain.
Nope.
Oh, I'm wrong. 29. Shows how much I know about pandemics.
That's what everybody thought, but nope, it was the year. Well, that's according to Wikipedia. I guess I should add a qualifier to that. Murder spies arrived in 2020, Will.
Murder hornets.
Murder moths.
You talk to all moths are murderers. I know far too many people who are terrified of them.
Which one? Hurry, hurry, quick, quick, quick.
I recognize all three of the other ones, if only vaguely.
And if only I had said was not recorded, instead of were not, it would have been grammatically correct. It's a good thing your mother isn't watching that. She has it on the TV, but she's not watching. You should know this one.
I don't actually know off the top of my head. I have to think really hard about that. Haha.
I could have had some fun with this one.
I was just going to say, your answers are really tame. You could have gone buck wild.
I could have gone wild, but I didn't. You have a guess on this one?
That was before I could really form cohesive thoughts about politics.
It's history. You should know history. You're an old fart now, remember?
I don't know nothing.
Don't admit that to our 3 viewers watching, of which one is your mother. You have to know something. You're hosting a show.
No, I'm now a media figure. I don't know Jack Diddley, but I
Hey,
will say that I do.
130 days was the record for Canadian Prime Minister.
130. There you go.
I remember that day. And we start over again. I'm not going to do this every week, but I thought a little bit of trivia was good for people to get going in the new year.
Get the brain juices flowing.
That's right. Live in 2 minutes, Will.
Then why does it count down?
William,
Yes, sir.
we're live, or we should be live.
Okay.
We had a catastrophic failure.
Really jinxing 2021. Great. In the title.
I'm just gonna lean over to my producer and make sure everything is hunky dory.
Looks good on my end. I'm also watching the stream on the side here.
Okay, well, let me get my screen back because I had to reboot my computer. And happily, everything showed up, so that was good.
Everything looks like we left it.
As the stream came back in a hurry, so that was a good thing.
Quick recovery time.
I do not have...
Hey, our Stan, Mr. Vanden Heuvel.
Oh, is he on? Oh, good.
Yeah, of course he's here. He's our #1 fan, Dave.
Your sound's not working.
Oh.
It says I don't have any sound. Is there no audio? Is my sound working?
The audio I'm listening to, I have the stream going on my other monitor, and you're coming through.
Okay.
My audio's turned up all the way too, so.
Okay, I just have to reset my screen here because this is not working right. So give me 2 minutes. Oh, the joys of live TV or live internet TV, whatever it is live. It's joyous, especially this evening. William, as I do this, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can play, and you can talk to people while I fix my screen. How's that?
Okay.
Hey, Will, entertain them.
Bold of you to assume I can hold their attention for that long. Welcome to our lovely, streamlined, very efficient, very well-produced show.
Welcome to the Will and Dave Show.
We got the intro on time. We'll just let it play the whole track. So welcome to the Will and Dave. There we go. Perfect. Even when I'm on my own, he steps on my toes. But no, welcome to the Will and Dave Show. Welcome to the table. I'm your host, Will. Dave's fixing things in the back end. Today, we want to really talk about what we're going to do in 2021. There is not really a content warning today because we really shouldn't be getting into anything particularly gnarly. So a nice breezy episode for everyone. We're just going to be going into some details about what we're envisioning for the podcast in 2021, some new goals we're setting. Oh, welcome back.
Hey, I'm back. I feel good.
Yeah, we're going to set some, we have set some goals. And we want to share them with you guys. And yeah, we want to try and kick this up another notch in the new year.
Yeah, and at the end of the show, we do have a few things which were brought to our attention, not surprisingly, about the new C word, which is no longer cancer, it's COVID. And we're going to talk about a couple things, although it's at the end of the show. We're just going on to touch on them, and we're going on to bring them into a future episode in more depth. But
yeah,
it's not going to be initially because, hey, it's a new year. We want to have a good time.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that I did a lot of hard work, and I made an animation with fireworks and all this and a flashing 2021, and it completely blew my new computer to pieces. It just
2021
completely
wants to see me more than it wants to see your flashy animation.
Yeah, apparently it does. It did not like to see 2021 with fireworks.
Start the year feeding my ego. Perfect.
Oh man, Will, I won't be the first, and I'm sure I won't be the last to say I am glad to see 2020 in the rearview mirror.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's no magic switch that's going to make 2021 any better, but at least it's in your head, it's nice to draw that little bit of separation between the dumpster fire that was 2020 and hopefully just the dumpster that is 2021.
We have to remember, though, that even a dumpster fire will keep somebody warm. I'm still looking for the positive of 2020. I think the positive is it's over. Is that a good enough positive?
Yeah, I say a dumpster fire keeping someone warm is like that old. I can't remember who. There's an old saying that I learned as a teenager that's not kosher, but it's if you teach a man to light a fire, you'll keep him warm for a day. If you light a man on fire, you'll keep him warm for the rest of his life. I think that's the kind of warmth you're talking about with 2021. It's not a good, healthy warmth. there's nothing comforting about the dumpster fire that was 2021, no matter how you look at it.
Oh my gosh, William. I just had this this flashback of some movie I watched. I can't, and they were keeping themselves warm around the fire, and you just completely ruined that warm, fuzzy image I had in that movie that was so happy, and I was bringing a positive note to the show, and you just wrecked it right there.
Doing my duty, sir.
There you go. So yeah, so we're glad to see last year in the rearview mirror. And we're really looking forward to the new year at some new ideas and some new things and some new, I don't know what the word is I want. It's just going to be new. It's not going to be 2020. And that's a good thing. Now, if you've...
You know what isn't new?
What's not new?
Our sponsors.
Oh, thank you.
They're the same as they've ever been.
Thanks for reminding me.
And loyal, supporting us in our endeavors.
Smooth transition.
Segue, baby.
I want to give a shout out to your mother, Stitched by Susan, who is a direct sponsor of this show. We love her. She's awesome. I really love her. You love her almost as much as I do, Will.
Almost.
She is doing a master class. It begins January 11th. If you'd like more information, head to stitchedbysusan.com/masterclass or shop, or heck, if you go to her website, you'll find it. And I want to give her a plug here. She has done all of the IT work on her website, all the class work, everything. I help on the filming and that end, but she has done all the IT work on that. And honestly, William, your mother has excelled at that end, at her email marketing list, like everything. Like all the IT work is your mom. And who knew she had it in her?
Nothing if not adaptable.
That is true.
We had to get it from somewhere. Also, a real standby sponsor here that's been with us for a while now is Kelly and Dottie Hardy. Once again, they have supported the purchasing of this lovely microphone you see before you that makes my voice sound so buttery smooth. But we're very grateful to have them sponsoring us and supporting us as we get this show off the ground. So thanks to them.
And thanks to Rafter G Land and Cattle Company, Howard and Karen Gertz.
People so blame for my obsession with Western movies.
Explain that. I didn't know that.
I remember going to their place as a kid all the time, and the only Lego they had was Western Lego. That was it. They had like Western towns, carriages, bank robbery Lego, you name it. It was all Western Lego, and I loved it because I didn't get any of that. I had Star Wars Lego, which, don't get me wrong, love my Star Wars Lego, but the Western Lego was unique, and it just instilled a love of Westerns in me.
That's awesome. Well,
Still
we would like to say a huge thank you to Howard and Karen Gertz for sponsoring the show. William.
Well, then again, they're also to blame for my hatred of Dutch Blitz, so it kind of balances out.
Why are they? That is
because they're really good at it.
No, that's your mother and your Aunt Mary.
Yeah, but they always played it at the Gertzes, did they not?
No, we played Rook at the Gertzes.
Rook?
It was Rook we played.
Yeah. I played Rook because I never won that either. Also, I was never allowed to play because you four played it.
Okay, I have to throw this up on the screen.
You know what? Let's keep a tradition. I'm going to read it out loud. Is the beach on the monitor behind Dave the same one that the Ontario finance minister was at for the Christmas break? You know,
or we could say the Alberta minister of who cares.
Whatever.
As well.
The politician that works for the party that is saying you guys are on lockdown, defied lockdown. He should not have been allowed to resign from his job. Hot take, I know.
So I want to say right now that I called my son, William, who you see on the camera, on New Year's Eve at midnight. And I said, hey, why are you at home? Well, why are you alone? And he's like, because we're on lockdown.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so? I had 11 people in my house. I didn't care that much. But you were more responsible than the Ontario finance minister, and you live in Ontario.
I was.
You should run for office.
Also, my wife is also an essential worker, and technically so am I. So we're kind of have a little extra obligation there as well. But
okay. I know you're not essential. I know she is, but
I am so. Rude.
Well, that's me.
True. True.
But that's a good one, Tim. Thanks for keeping it real.
Yeah.
And no, I have a TV in my office now. It actually is not my office. It's my studio. And
There you go.
And I keep that on there to remind me of where I wish I was in January and February.
You know what? That applies too to my map of Middle Earth behind me.
Yeah.
Middle Earth would be better than this right now, I think.
Don't get me going on where I wish I was and how I wish it was, because it can sure get frustrating, Will.
As long as the Shire has rum and eggnog, I'll be fine there.
It has a
Anywho.
coffee cup.
Hey!
I'm a grandpa, and we don't have any baby pictures this month, but I'm hoping to
Someday.
get some soon because she is growing up cute.
We'll have to pay a hefty premium for those.
Yeah, we are going to have to pay a premium. So what's on the short list for 2021? Will, why don't you start this out?
Well, we'll start with the heavier topics, the big chunky ones, right? We'll get those in and we'll talk about those. First off, we want to expand our content. We don't want it to just be the podcast. We want the Will and Dave show, in more business-like terms that I'm not good with. We want to diversify our portfolio. We want to provide a larger product. We want to make the Will and Dave show not just a podcast, but a brand, essentially. We want to provide more so it spreads faster, more people can enjoy different facets of it, because not everyone is going to enjoy a podcast. Some people might want to read, some people might want to watch without having to be live. So we really want to capitalize on spreading our little brand of entertainment out in as many different avenues as we reasonably can, while still maintaining a certain level of quality that we like.
We want to be everywhere.
Everywhere. By everywhere, we mean we're going to start doing some video essays. So I myself are going to be producing, well, we are going to produce, I'm going to write and make video essays. We're going to try and go for once a month to start.
Yeah.
As things go, that may adjust, but I think once a month is a good baseline. We're also going to be starting up a blog on the website. So if you're someone who prefers to read your entertainment or read your what's the word, commentary like we do, we're going to put that on the website. And
the website is
thewillanddaveshow.com.
Hey,
who knew?
Transition, segue, get that in there.
Yeah, we're going to try and update that a minimum of twice a month
Yep.
with blog posts, whether short or long. And those are likely going to take the place of what was kind of the Will and Dave rant portions of the podcast. If you want to hear us go off on a topic, more likely than not, you'll find that in either the video essays or the blog. That's kind of where we're going to push that avenue of our creativity.
I have a whole list of rants that I've just been saving up through all of 2020.
Especially this Christmas season. I've got lots that I've been like just bottling up inside of me that we wanted to keep it happy and fresh for the holidays, and they're just festering in there.
And I will be going live on Facebook a few times a month, a week. I don't know how much. It's going to be more often than not, I believe, as I have a big mouth and a lot to say. And what can I say?
So we're going to make him shut his mouth and write it all down.
No, we're going to get my fat, ugly mug on Facebook and let me just rant live and in person. Those will probably be live. And a few of them, I may be mobile, out and about as I see things when I'm sitting in the Costco parking lot, or I see things when I'm sitting at Walmart, and they just make me go off. And so there are some things that
channel your inner Rick Mercer there.
Yes. And so if you're not a friend of the show on Facebook, run over there and like us. If you search Facebook for the Will and Dave Show, you'll see us there. Mm-hmm. And that is where you will see my rants are going to be on Facebook and not on YouTube. Right. Although I may move them over there eventually, but.
Right. And if you want to see me picking fights with various people, Twitter will be the place to go. The Will and Dave Show on Twitter. We're going to be trying to increase our presence there as well, both in posting more ourselves, but also trying to nudge our way into various conversations all over the internet, which might be cringeworthy, might be entertaining. We'll find out together.
I think as we learn and as we grow, I think a lot of things are going to be cringeworthy.
Yeah. That's also the other thing is, if you haven't noticed, if you've been someone like our number one stan, Tim Van Hoovel, you've noticed that consistently as we've been doing this, our set has been changing, our lighting has been changing. Yeah. The way we're doing the show is consistently evolving, and we're going to keep doing that, if not more so. We're going to get into some green screen work. We're going to be getting into having different sort of stages for, say, the video essays. We're going to have a different look to things for that, so that
Right.
each avenue of our content stands out in its own right.
Right.
So while I think we're already doing pretty good in terms of production value, we feel we can do better, and that's what we intend to do.
Yeah. I want to mention a few of the folks we're going to have on the show, William.
Right. Upcoming guests.
Upcoming guests. And I'm not going to name names yet, as a few of them are still in the works. And so these are the topics, and we do have them in the list. I'm just holding off on confirmation. So our one that we're going to hit, and this will come in the church world a little bit, although it'll be entertaining for some of those who are outside the church world, who look at the church and sort of with eyebrows up and say, what? Is the worship wars. And for those of you who don't go to church, I want to sort of explain that. For every generation, there's a new musical genre, if it be rock and roll or jazz or doo-wop. And the church historically has really faltered at adapting how they make music and relating to the rest of the world. And so in the church, you have these worship wars that sit there. No, we don't want drums in the church because they're from the devil, because they're from rock and roll. And you have a bunch of young people who say, hey, but it's really cool, and we want to sing worship music with drums. And this whole thing, it truly can be a worship war in the church. And those outside the church, they look at it and say, what are you fighting about? Have drums, for crying out loud. So that's going to be one of the things that we're going to bring in, a few worship leaders in the church, a few who have left the church, and say, hey, what does it mean? What is this in your world? So that's one of the topics, is worship wars.
On the flip side of that same topic,
Yeah.
there's the other side of worship wars we want to get into, which is this more contemporary Christian, what was the word I used earlier? Like rock star
Yeah.
worship. Because now we've crested that hill of the whole, fighting various instruments, getting into worship. And now we have this new concern, which is worship music that's becoming, how do I phrase it? Yeah, it's hip. It's too cool, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As someone who's not in the church, in the sense that they've branched away from just making worship music, and it is a show. It is a production with stars, like if for any of you who listen to Christian music a lot, Carmen from the 90s.
Yeah.
People like him, I think, really pioneered that. They became rock stars in their own right.
Yeah.
And that's a very new thing with the church within the last, maybe, 15 years? That's become a very big
Oh, no,
thing.
it'd be your lifetime. And that's not
Okay, so
15 years, unless you're younger than I remember.
Almost 30.
Okay, well, then it's a lot more than 15 years. I bet you wish it was only 15 years, but no.
I do wish it was only 15 years. I wish the 90s was only 10 years ago.
Yeah. And then we also are going to have the R&D sisters, I call them. So one is a Democrat, hardcore, as left as you can go pretty much. Another one, she began as a Republican. Another mom and dad are Republican. And again, the two sisters for years were sort of on opposite ends of the spectrum. And one of them has sort of moved a little more left with the advent of our current president.
El Presidente.
He has sort of inspired her movement a little more left. And we're going to have them on probably in February. And we're just going to look at the family dynamics of having a left and a right and a mom and dad who are hardcore right, and how they coexist in a family and have Thanksgiving and Christmas together, not murder each other. As politics in the U.S. and more in Canada, it's hard to have a civil conversation if you're on opposite ends of the spectrum.
I know it might come as a shock to some of you, but political values are a somewhat divisive subject these days.
Not in our family.
It's sarcasm, Dave. It's sarcasm. They're still divisive in our family. We just get by. Like we have.
See, if I had hair, it would have caught that, but it went right over. Sorry, that
I don't have anything to add to that. You just burned yourself better than I ever could. So kudos to you, man. I
so
tip
for-
my hat to you.
So for 2 days, I've been on a YouTube wormhole of Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh my God, me too.
Colin Mockery and the ball jokes. I can wholeheartedly relate. So yeah, that just went right over.
Oh man.
So yeah, so the R&D sisters is what I'm calling them for now, for Republican, Democrat. But I mean, it just is a family which really has had a lot of dynamics in that world, and can they still like each other? So
How dare they?
we're going to have them on the show. We also are going to have a counselor on who deals a lot with emotional trauma. You know, we know in COVID and the lockups or lockdowns. I call them lockups because I feel like I'm locked up, although I guess it's
Technically, they're lockdowns. but,
lockdowns.
Same poop, different pile.
Yeah. There's a lot of trauma and emotional issues in families, in youth. And this lady is on the forefront of that. And we're going to be having some conversations about how they handle it in the church and outside the church, because there's a lot of hurting people. And it's not easy to deal with.
No.
And
And we're still waiting for really detailed numbers from 2020 on, things like suicide rates or, drug use rates and things like that. Like, we're getting touches and snippets of them, but we haven't got really concrete, clear numbers yet. And we're still waiting for that because it's a very big concern.
and none of them are good.
No.
So little numbers that we're seeing are just ugly. The suicide rate is huge. It's huge. And again, in youth, I have a friend of mine, actually, it's one of the sisters who are going to be on the show. Her daughter had 3 friends in the past 3 months or 4 months who've killed themselves. Like, how hard is that on a teenager if you look around and 3 of your friends have killed themselves?
Yeah.
That's hard emotionally. And that's going to be a topic of conversation with a counselor who on a daily basis is dealing with people like this. So that is one. Here's a new one that I forgot to talk to you about, and so I hope you'll forgive me throwing a monkey wrench in, Will.
Let's bring it on me.
We have a gentleman who works with what's the word? Nonprofit. He works with dads.
Oh.
There's a lack, and it's been known across the board there are lots of dads out there who have kids who don't know how to be a dad. This is actually, their whole role is educating you on how to be a dad and a father. And he's actively involved in that. And so I've invited him on. I forgot to ask you this evening. I invited
So
him
he's
on.
like a professional dad.
No, he actually is a counselor, and he counsels dad. I am the professional dad because look at
You
you.
don't get paid shit for it. You're an amateur dad.
Speaking of that, we learned in the last episode that if we use expletive language, our algorithm goes down. So William is working on
Against the podcast. I'm
Is
working
working
on
on-
not using my swear words as
That's
much.
right.
Should I get a little chalkboard back here? I will not swearing class.
33 times. That's right.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that I struggle with, as William knows. I get frustrated and I do let it out, and
Had to learn from somewhere.
but I try not to do it when I'm in public. I mean, it just is not a good image. And
It's still hard for me to get in my head into the space that I am in public right now, even though I'm like sitting in my little office studio alone at night. I am in public right now.
you are.
I am
You are
very
in the
much in public
public
right
eye.
now. Not only that, this public interaction is being recorded for posterity's sake and for future criminal charges. So
Well, I will tell you
I
that
need to be very aware of that.
you are in the public eye as YouTube has it now. As soon as we do this, it is in YouTube's world, and they
it's
monitor
forever.
us. Never goes away. So yeah, that's a new thing we learned. Is not to swear, and not for any moral reason, but the fact it gets our ratings up. How bad is that, William?
Oh yeah, no. Out of the public eye. Curse like a sailor.
Okay, I try not
My
to.
language will make it sailor blush with shame.
Yes.
10 points if you get the reference.
I don't get the reference.
Ray Stevens, Mississippi Square.
All right. Righto. So those are a few of the things that are on the burner for 2021. And we're going to throw some new ones out every now and then, as I just did to William on the Fatherhood Initiative. But
These
yeah,
are just the tip of the iceberg. These are what we have at the moment. with how much we've evolved already in the past 2 months and a little bit that the show's been going.
thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks. You can swear for us.
That's right.
But yeah, with what we've already done in the past 2 months, and our initial kind of our initial test period isn't even half over yet for this podcast,
Right.
and so we've got so much more room to grow yet, and so much more we want to do. Like we're just winding up at this point.
That's us. We are wind up toys.
I mean, in business these days, growth is king, so we got to keep pushing.
So the other day I sent you a link for an article, William.
Which one? You send me a lot of articles or links.
Well, the bill for the makers of hand sanitizer.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Yeah.
So in their infinite wisdom, the U.S. government emailed out a letter on December 26th, I believe, to all of the local distilleries in the U.S. who had lovingly, out of the goodness of the heart, I'm going to kick you out, Will, because I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant and you can come back in.
Let her fly. The blog's not up yet.
Who, out of the goodness of their heart, said, hey, we're going to make hand sanitizer because we have the wherewithal to do it. We have alcohol, add a little bit of aloe vera, kaboom. I don't know what they put in it. I'm making that up. And we're going to give aloe vera away. Or not aloe vera, hand sanitizer. And so they did that through all of the pandemic. A week ago, they get an email. They says, oh, you owe the FDA or whoever the heck it is. I can't remember the governmental organization, $14,000 because you were making hand sanitizer and selling it. And not only that, in 2 days, you have to cease and desist or refile. And here's a bill for another $14,000 for next year. And
Merry Christmas.
yeah, I mean, seriously. Now, I will add an addendum. This was overturned. And they went, oh, shoot, no, we're not going to do that. At the behest of another government organization, mind you, it was not the FDA. They said, oh, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. But here's my problem, and this is where I get a little bit antsy with government, is this had to go up the food chain. There's a guy who comes up with this idea, hey, we should bill these people. He writes a memo and sends it up to whoever he sends it to, and they go, oh, that's a great idea. And he sends it up, and it eventually goes up the food chain and goes, yeah, we should send this out. Was there nobody thinking?
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, was there nobody thinking that, man, we shouldn't do this? These guys, like, they gave most of it away to first responders. This is not a good idea. So that's my first rant.
In Canada, we had a slightly different problem, which was that the distilleries that were making the hand sanitizer had to produce it in such a way that people wouldn't be incentivized to drink it.
Well, they
That
did
was our
here
biggest
too.
problem.
Well, they did
Oh,
here
okay,
too. Yeah, the denaturing, they add the bittering agents to it.
Forget drinking the Kool-Aid. We drink hand sanitizer now. Or what was it a year ago? Drinking bleach to cure COVID or whatever it was? Hand sanitizer is the way to go, kids. For clarification, if you are a kid who's listening to this, that is a joke. Don't drink hand sanitizer.
And don't drink bleach.
Or bleach, yeah.
I don't.
I don't want to have to say that, but I feel like if I don't say that, it's on the internet.
What did Mr. Orange Hair say? Did he say inject bleach or drink bleach? He was one of the two.
He didn't say bleach. He used the technical term for bleach, if I recall correctly.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think he said to do it. He said that there's great promise.
Oh.
We're looking into it, which is really wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Chug a bottle of bleach, kid.
which I'm fairly certain he was joking or being sarcastic. I don't.
It's
I do think he's
possible.
smart enough,
I-
but
I feel like the people.
that's not how the interwebs took it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Are they Hoobie Wuddy?
we have our
No relation, obviously.
no relation whatsoever. I really flew off the handle at this, and it happened. I believe I heard about it on Christmas Day is when I went all nutso on it.
I think you messaged me late Christmas Day.
Yeah, and the issue that I had was not. No, actually, it was Christmas Eve.
Okay.
It was not the fact that they sent it out as much as that's evil and wrong. It's the process of government that it never had anybody see that and say, this is not a good idea, guys. That just really, it's one of the reasons that I get all squirrely when you mention big government, is for those sorts of things. The other one, and this is a viewer who mentioned this one to me 3 days ago and said, hey, you should talk about this on your show. And we are going to get into this, I believe, in the next episode. Is
Yeah, we're it's in the works.
her husband is a vet. He was in one of the Gulf Wars. He's been involved in armed services for a long time. He's retired now, and he was one who, he's higher risk. He has health issues, etc. So he went to the VA and he said, hey, I really need the vaccination. As it's coming up, I really would like the vaccination. And here in our area in Spokane, they are giving the vaccinations out to our convicts in our prisons and not to the vets.
I mean, you can imagine my gut reaction to that. Obviously, vets don't deserve shit. Give it to the prisoners. That's
Yeah.
a joke. Again, that's a joke. My gut reaction is, why?
Yeah.
I'm inclined to give the benefit of a doubt because it seems like such an outlandish decision that I want to assume that there is a reason that I just don't know. But I haven't had the time to look into it properly yet, and so that's why we're doing it further down the line. Is we want to
Yeah.
have some time to look into it before we start passing judgment on that, because it's.
No,
It
I'm going to
sounds
pass
insane.
judgment. I'm going to pass judgment, and I'll
You're American.
And I'll-
You can do that. You can pass judgment before you've read into it at all.
no,
before
and
you
I'll
did
be
any
willing to stand. Here's my judgment. It's horrible. It sucks. I'm willing to be corrected. Prove me wrong.
research. Challenge accepted.
As it doesn't
my
make
best.
sense. Why would you give a vaccination to a prisoner who has committed a crime, and you have a guy who served your country, and you're saying, no, you're to the back of the line, buddy?
That's a really good question that I hope to find the answer to, because it doesn't seem to make sense to me, which maybe this is the perks of constantly second guessing myself. I am going to, my first inclination is that I'm missing something rather than large government body done goofed. But as we have just learned, large government bodies done goof a lot. So
It's one of those areas that, so I'm not an anarchist, and I'm learning. Thank you, Susan. I'm learning to use words properly.
nuance, baby.
Yeah, nuance. That's a good word, Will. And thank you for that.
Welcome.
So it isn't that I hate government. I think we need government. I hate the overreach of government, and I get all squirrely and I get all grumpy when I see these horrible decisions. And even more than the bad decisions, it's how they make the decisions and the reasons that they make them, or the lack of reasons, maybe. Again, the not explaining the reasons is what really makes me just cringe inside when I look at governments. I look in Alberta and Ontario and actually all of Canada, and your ministers who are going to Mexico and Hawaii and you say, is nobody on their staff saying that's not a good idea? The optics of that suck.
Well, I'm sure there are people that think that and want to keep their jobs, so they don't say it. And it's only the oddball ones that we catch because they get caught in public. That's the thing. That's the thing we always remember when this guy got caught doing that and resigned. He only resigned because he got caught.
Right.
If he'd have done it, it wouldn't matter how many members of his cabinet or staff saw it. They wouldn't really feel that they have any ability to speak up about it. And if he hadn't been caught publicly, he would have just done it. Then it would have been that. Nothing would have been done about it.
Well, I don't even know what to say here. As I do get, it's where I get squirrely is when I look at these issues for government and I look at these things and I say, where is somebody that won't do this? And they're hard to find. They're hard to find in government.
Politicians don't exist.
Well, if they do, they don't exist for long is the problem, I think.
That's also a good point.
You know, it's one of these things where you look at. So one of the ones who we admire is John McCain. I mean, we did a show on John McCain, and amazing man. And after our episode on John McCain, I had a number of people who came to me and they said he was a jerk.
Oh yeah.
Like he was not a nice man. He was a very good politician. He played the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at people who hourly you think, yeah, he's a great guy. Often if they're in politics,
there's a reason they're making it in politics, and it's usually not because they're stand-up characters.
Yeah.
I say that as someone who has a few politicians that I try my best to admire just to try and stay sane.
You and me both.
There's not very many of them.
As Tim says, it's do what I say, not as I do. Because it's not. And how do you ever combat that as a general person?
As a general person, there's not a lot to be done. I mean, I feel like if nothing else, Trump is a really good example of the extremes people will do to try and break the mold of politicians.
Right.
Like, it in my opinion, it backfired, but at least it shows that people are sick and tired of voting for career politicians who just play the game well. They want leaders. They want people who will actually facilitate legitimate change, not for the sake of satisfying their party, but rather for acting in the best interest of the people. That makes sense. And so the people that I tend to look up to are the ones who I feel are doing that. Right. But unfortunately, if they want to get anywhere, they have to play the game. So it's hard. Trump is such a if nothing else, he's an incredible story of how someone who does not play the game managed to surround himself with people who do play the game. Mm-hmm. And so he, as someone who doesn't play the game, still managed to come out on top of the game.
Yeah.
The odds of him pulling that off are insane.
I don't know that I would agree with that, because I think he's been playing the game for a lot of years. It just was in a different arena.
Yeah. So I could be wrong. Maybe he is the best player of the game and he's so good that we don't even see it.
Well, he played it in another arena, though, in the business arena. So he already was used to, for years, of dealing with New York and their politics in New York. I guess he had to do the things he did. So whether for good or for ill, he was still involved in politics. It just was on the other side of the political fence.
That's fair.
Your mother had a great suggestion there, Will. Did you happen to see that?
I did see that. I'm very flattered.
Well, I will notice that she told you to run for mayor, not me.
It's because you're an old white man, Dave. I'm still only a middle-aged white man. I've still got time.
And hair.
And hair.
So here's the thing I'd like to touch on, and I didn't mention this earlier in our briefing, but so I watched a podcast yesterday or day before by Rudy Giuliani.
Oh boy.
Rudy Giuliani. Mm-hmm. And he was going on at length about, all the nonsense. And he's rattling off all the frauds. And I'm going to say out in the open, I voted for Trump. I'm not ashamed of that. But for all of the allegations of fraud, I can agree there were appearances of fraud. Prove them. That's all you have to do. Prove they happen. And not only have a video, but prove it in a court of law. Prove that fraud happened. This is a moot point. If you cannot prove it, if you can't have a judge hear your argument, if they throw it out, you don't have enough evidence. I'm sorry.
If the courts are so, this is the thing I always keep coming back to. If the courts are so corrupt and so bought and paid for by Democrats as they're claiming they are,
Right.
Trump would never have been in office. There's no way they flipped so many courts in 4 years. If the courts were really that dirty, Trump would never have been in office in the first place. So many other things wouldn't have happened. The courts aren't that dirty. They just haven't come forward with evidence yet. I'm not saying they don't have it. Maybe they do.
Right.
But we haven't seen it yet. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm right with you that there's lots of shady stuff that happened, or things that could be shady stuff, but they haven't been able to prove a damn thing so far.
You know, and I look at the irregularities, and I mean I see them, and I say, okay, that prove it. That's all you have to do. Like every allegation in the nation about everything. If you hit your neighbor and he sues you, he has to prove you hit him.
Yeah.
So prove it. And so I watched his whole show. It was like 50 minutes of him going on about, illegal votes, and there was a bag of votes, and look at the video. If the video was clear enough,
courts would have sided with him.
Yeah.
Or at least would have heard him out more so than they have.
Right. So on that note, I think it's going to be interesting in the next week is when all the final is going to happen. Maybe he has an ace up his sleeve, but I'm not banking on it because he would have shown it by now.
Yeah. I think Rudy, this is me being cynical.
Yeah.
And this is me being less diplomatic than I like to be. I think Rudy Giuliani is just putting in the hours to make his very exorbitant wage as Trump's lawyer. I think he's just really, really putting in the effort there so he gets a good review on Yelp when the presidency's over.
Do you think he's going to get a good review on Yelp? I don't think so.
No, not from Trump, because if Trump loses, he's going to fire Giuliani the day after he's out of office. But Giuliani, with everybody else in the Republican Party, they're going to be like, wow, Giuliani really puts in the effort. The guy really tries,
Here's the thing with Giuliani. Is if you had asked anybody 3 years ago about Rudy Giuliani or 4 years ago, he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
He was a prosecutor. He was the mayor of New York.
He wasn't always well loved, but he's a pretty intelligent dude.
Yeah.
And I would wager that he still is. I think he's earning his paycheck.
I don't know that I agree with that, although I think that you have to put up or shut up at some point.
Yeah.
I think it happens in anything. You have to put up or shut up. And I haven't heard the shut up. And none of the judges apparently are hearing the put up.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That actually segues into something else that we didn't touch on yet. This is my secret topic that I want to get into in the near future.
Yeah.
Which is going to be the pardons. The pardons that have happened and are probably going to happen this coming week. I don't want to talk about them until they're done. So it'll probably still be a few weeks out. But eventually we're going to have to talk about all the pardons that have happened and draw some comparisons to previous presidencies and all their pardons.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning, due to seeing these ones, I've never noticed like mass pardons on the departure of a president, and some of them are insane from both sides of the party, both sides of the spectrum. It's wild what presidents can do in their last days in office.
Yes, it is.
It was a bit of a headcanon moment for me.
Yeah, it isn't only Trump. I mean, I view some of them and go, what, really? Is he going to use any of them for good? Maybe, but there's a lot of backroom deals I think are going on, and it happens in every presidency.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you have looked these up, maybe is Obama as bad as some of the others? Okay.
I know I can't remember the names. I've only
Right.
briefly looked into it because
Right.
it's still pretty fresh to me. I didn't
Right.
really look into it over the holidays. I know Clinton apparently had some really shady ones on his way out.
Yeah.
I can't remember the names or what they were. I don't know about Obama.
Okay.
I think I'm going to guess that what was the lady, the transgender lady who leaked military secrets? I can never remember her name.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, she got the pardon, and that
Yeah.
one was controversial, and
Yeah.
I would even lean on the side of it being an ugly move because of what she did. But I feel like that's probably the most controversial one he did that I remember. I'll find out as I research it, but
I'm actually looking it up as we speak. Why not?
because we can always edit out our little click clacking of keyboards.
That's right.
Chelsea Manning.
Right.
Chelsea Manning was who he pardoned.
Yeah.
And that's one of those ones where I think it's, I don't want to say harmless because obviously Chelsea Manning leaked military documents
Right.
that potentially led to the deaths of soldiers. So that's definitely a crime. But is she likely to recommit those crimes? No, because she's not in the military anymore.
Right.
So it's,
Right.
It was definitely politically motivated, I think, because she
Yeah.
was very much a kind of beacon for
Mhm.
the far left.
It's
But-
one of those issues that, I mean, we look at from the outside in and we go, well,
Mhm.
is there nobody more deserving of a pardon, than somebody like that, or
Yeah.
or some of the people
I mean,
who Trump is pardoning, et cetera, and ones
If
in
I
the
had to
past.
choose between pardoning someone like Chelsea Manning and someone like one of the, I can't remember his name, but one of the people involved with Trump's dealings with Russians, and he was going to go to jail for it, like he was
Right.
on his
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and Trump's pardoning him. He's going to go back to doing stuff like that. Like he's going to go right back to doing the same crap. You know it. He's going to find a different politician,
Yeah.
and he's going to go squirrel money away for them from other places. That's
Yeah.
just a given.
It's
The
politics,
guy
right?
knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's just it. He works in political finance. He's going to
Yeah.
go right back to political finance.
It's one of these. So I'll be interested in hearing your research into it, as I do. But I get all squirrely at these sorts of things, and because it's government in its worst way, I'm going to find a crony and I'm going to give him a pardon because it'll pay off. In 2 years, I'll get a speaking gig for $200,000 or $250,000,
Right.
and it is a thing. So
I would like to make a slight addendum.
yes.
Obama did not pardon Chelsea Manning. He commuted her sentence.
Oh, okay. What does that mean exactly?
Delayed it.
Okay. Until when?
She's been making a living. Don't know because she's currently back in prison
Oh,
for contempt of court and refusing to testify before a grand jury during the investigation into Julian Assange. So she refused to partake in that, and she's
Right.
being held in contempt of court. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to be involved with anything revolving around Julian Assange. So I kind of get that, but
yeah. He's one of those. Him and what's the other guy from the NSA?
Snowden. I can't
Right,
remember his
Edward
first name.
Snowden,
Edward Snowden,
who's the whole story around them is so wrapped in secrecy that I have.
I would. Snowden seems like an actual, like a what's the word, for a stable human being. Assange is a wild card.
Yeah.
He's read about him sometime. There's been a couple of movies about him too.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
wild.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Which isn't to say Snowden didn't do crazy things, but I
Right.
think he did the crazy thing as a relatively normal human being.
yeah. I think it could be. I think for all of them though, and these are the things.
They played with world altering bits of
Right.
information.
And a lot of that information is dangerous.
Very.
And I'm not a been anti-government all the time sort of thing. Although there are times when you need to learn to keep your mouth shut,
yeah.
or people die. And I
Same
wonder with Snowden and Assange, who died as a result of their leaks. I don't know. I don't know that
Right.
there did,
I don't
but
know.
I just wonder.
I think that's a lot of the controversy around Assange is that his MO seems to be leak everything no matter what.
Right.
If it's hidden and he can get his hands on it, he leaks
Right.
it.
Right.
From my understanding, Snowden, if I remember correctly, was just kind of one big dump that he felt was necessary to do, and then
Right.
he's hiding. He's not
Right.
doing anything else. He's not like facilitating more leaks, as far as I know.
Right.
I could be wrong. Who knows? Not me.
it's our show. We're not wrong, are we?
I was going to say, in the words of Schultze, I know nothing.
Yeah, so that is some short rants for this week. We're not going to go crazy this week. It's a new year. We're going to enjoy this week. It's just being happy. Freaking fines for hand sanitizer, people.
You know what? It was happy until I ran out of rum and eggnog. So we need to wrap this up relatively soon so I can refill my glass.
Yeah, there you go.
Real
So we
personal
want to say
problems.
thank you to our fans for watching us.
Yeah.
We would
After recommending me as mayor.
Yeah, well, that's your mother. She doesn't count as a fan, but I liked her recommendation. We would like to have you guys share and like and subscribe, but really share, because I believe everybody watching has subscribed already. Share the video, as our next aim is 100 subscribers. We would love to hit 100 subscribers. It sort of is next up on the algorithm hit list is 100. And when that happens, we're going to look at Patreon and doing a few things on how you all are able to help us and to support us. So,
Yeah.
and so we need to get to 100 subscribers. And so share it with a friend who wants to look at my
Or
ugly
lots
mug.
of friends.
Or lots of friends.
Do the old-fashioned Facebook games thing where it tells you would you invite any of your friends to play this game, and you just hit invite all?
Well, there's
Maybe
one,
not all, but lots.
there's one problem with that. I
Everyone
know
hates
Tim.
those.
Well, I know Tim. He doesn't have any friends.
Certainly not you.
Sorry, Tim. Had to throw you under the bus there.
It's okay, Tim. I still love you, even if he doesn't.
I know your grandkids love you, Tim. Yeah, but they don't have YouTube accounts, so they can't like it. So yeah, if we could get you to share, and share some more, we would love that.
And comment if you feel like it. We love hearing from you.
Yes, we love the comments. Thank you, Allison, for commenting tonight. That was fun. Even if I'm just gonna add it in there again. Hi to Holiday
And
Hoobie Wuddy.
if you feel super inspired to communicate with us, go to the website. Our website has a handy dandy little set of buttons that'll walk you through the process of leaving us either text or video suggestions for future episodes. Because while we have some ideas, there's a lot of weeks to fill in 2021. So any and all suggestions or ideas you might have, send them our way. We can't wait to hear them.
I am going to do, actually, here's my job for this week. I am going to do a little tutorial on how to leave a video comment. We would love you to do a video comment of this and just ask us a question. And we'll play the video, and then we will mock you, or we might even make a real comment on it or make it an episode of the show.
Yeah.
We never mock anybody, do we?
Sure.
Never. Happy New Year's, guys. It has been a blast.
Happy New Year.
Another week in the books. I want to say a special, what's the word? I want to thank you to our producer, Mr. Jacob, in the back room. He is watching the show, making sure it's all good.
Thank you, Jacob. My communication with Jacob is and what's up? But you know what? We're just cool like that.
We are. Okay. We will see you guys next week. Thank you for watching.
Stay safe. Don't die.